everybody, welcome to the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Care Network. I'm Dean, the host of the N.A.R.C.N Network and channel, and also the host of the Unmasking the Narcissist channel. Today I'm going to be presenting to you guys episode 210 on the N.A.R.C.N Network, and this is actually a continuation of episode 199, where we talked about the texting habits of narcissists. So this is going to be a part 2 to that texting habits here, but here in this episode we're going to talk in particular about control texts. And this, of course, can be messages in social media, can be messages on your phone. It's just whatever text the narcissist sends you that might be considered to be of a control nature. Now, if you're not sure what a control text is exactly, because sometimes these things can actually be not so clear that you're actually getting a text from the narcissist that is kind of a thing where they're trying to control you. For those of you out there who have studied narcissism and are aware of how control text works, this video probably isn't for you, because you're probably already aware, but you might learn something from it, you might not, it depends. But control text can be of a very simple nature from the narcissist. Sometimes a text can be very blatant, where a narcissist is saying something to you. Let's take the example of the narcissist is in a position where you're trying to break up with them. You've decided you want to break up with this narcissist, and the narcissist has texted you and said, you know, hey, like, I don't want you to break up with me. You know, how can you leave me? Why are you doing this to me? If you leave me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that involves me doing something extreme, like harming myself. That is a very blatant example that a narcissist will use, where they say something to you that's going to halt whatever proceedings you have going on your end. That's a control text. They're telling you, if you get rid of me, or you stop seeing me, or you dump me, I'm going to harm myself, or something bad is going to happen in this particular instance. Now, some people out there will say, well, I've had this happen with people around me. Somebody has said to me, if you leave me, I'm going to hurt myself or cause myself harm. Well, I hate to tell you, but if that person uttered that to you, they may have been trying to control you in some particular way. When you get a text of that nature that threatens some type of self-harm from somebody, very often that can be being put forth by a narcissistic person. Now, you might be out there and say, well, I don't think that my person is narcissistic. I think that they're just having a panic because I'm disengaging with them, or I want to stop seeing them, or whatever, and they do that. Well, really, people who don't have that stability, you know, will behave and respond something to you in that way. They can indeed be suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, and this can be fueling them to give you this type of response, because this is a control response, and it's a rather serious control response. Strangely enough, in psychology, normal people are not considered to respond something of that nature to you. They're not considered to respond something that might be of a control nature to you. And this is an example of a controlling text. Now, it may seem subtle, it may seem indirect, but it is considered to be of a control text nature. Another more subtle form of a control text might be something along the lines of you guys having a discussion. Perhaps you're in a situation where money went missing or something. Let's say you left $40 on your counter, your kitchen counter, that morning, and you call up your acquaintance, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, whomever it is, and say, hey, you know, I left money out on the counter this morning, and, like, you know, it's not there now at the moment. Did you happen to borrow it or something? And that narcissist will say something else to you. They will respond to you, well, what are you talking about? There was money on the counter. I never saw any money on the counter. I don't know what the heck it is you're talking about. I don't know why you're accusing me of taking finances that you left lying around the house. Now, you're just asking that narcissist that question, or that person that question about where the money went, because you're curious as to where your money may have gone. You may not even be upset about this. You may just be curious as to where that money went. That narcissist is suddenly having a dialogue with you that seems of a defensive nature, of some nature, or they're deflecting the attention away from them in some manner, either onto somebody else or onto some other reasoning here as to what went on, or they're reacting in a way that seems overbearing for, or overdone for, what the seriousness of this situation might be. If the narcissist is suddenly acting in a defensive way with you, if you put forth a question to them of that type of nature, you could indeed be dealing with a narcissist, but you could also be dealing with a control situation. The second they act out with you and act like they're angry with you, or act like they're upset with you when you were posing a relatively simple question to them of this nature, that is to get you to back down from that conversation with them, because you've said something to them that they've taken offense to. They may indeed have actually taken that money, because narcissists do these things. But they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that something else has happened. In this instance, of course, where did the money go? You don't really know. It's not there anymore. They may have been the only person in the home with you to know where that went, and you may have some suspicion that they may have taken it, but you yourself may not be angry towards them, and you may not be asking them in an angry way, or presenting something offensive to them in any particular way. But suddenly they're responding to you in some type of defensive manner, in some type of angry defensive manner towards you. This is a sign that you may indeed be dealing with a control, a form of control within the confines of this response to you. And this, of course, goes for phone calls as well, too. We're not just talking about text messages here, but you may get a text message back with a response of some type of angry or upset nature. This is a control response. This is a response to control you, to get you away from getting the pressure off of that narcissist, or off of that person that you may suspect is a narcissist, and to get that attention away from them. Same thing can go on too if you say, let's say you haven't spoken to your narcissist for the entire day. You sent them a couple of messages, perhaps you called them on the phone, they didn't respond, and you send them a message, and that message says, hey, you know, I tried to contact you a couple of times today in text format or by phone, and I can't seem to find you. You know, what's up with you? What's been going on? What have you been doing? Where have you been? Any of those particular questions you could pose to them. And of course, this becomes a more serious line of questioning if you are indeed involved in that narcissist where you cohabitate with them in some nature, either your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and you've put forth this line of questioning to them. If that narcissist comes back and answers you in some type of angry manner for asking a relatively simple question here, especially if the type of response is like, you know, something like, what are you trying to keep an eye on me? Why are you worried about, you know, why are you worried about where I am or what I'm doing? Or why do you need to know where I am all the time constantly? Or something of this, just something of that nature. It could be, you know, 20 different responses here. Well, generally people who aren't at odds with somebody else, they don't respond to something adverse. Even if you haven't talked to that person the whole day long, a normal response would be, oh, I'm really sorry about this. You know, I saw my phone ring, but I wasn't able to answer it. I was busy with a boss, or something was going on in work I had to attend to, and I didn't hear the phone. I didn't hear you text. I'm really sorry about that. This is what I was doing today. I don't want you to worry about me or whatever. You know, and they'll give you some forthright response that makes sense and seems to, you know, make sense for the question that you're asking there, and it is in a non-abrasive response manner to whatever's going on, you'll get a response that's one that makes sense and is amicable with you and is responding to your inquiry as to why you haven't heard from this person all day or whatever. That's the type of response you'll get from a normal person. The other type of angry or frustrated or annoyed response you get from another individual is, again, considered to be a lower level control response. That narcissist or that person is responding to you in that way because you're imposing on something. Maybe they've been doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. Maybe they were somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Maybe they were with someone they weren't supposed to be with. And this is why you're getting that type of response from them. These are all red flags, but again, this is also a control response from that narcissist. If the narcissist responds to you in an angry way when you ask them something like that, like where they've been all day and you're involved in a relationship with this person, especially a more serious relationship like marriage or anything of that nature, and they respond to you this way, they're trying to shut down your dialogue with them because they're offended by something that you're asking. Of course, this is not an admission of guilt that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing necessarily. But again, why would they be responding to you that way? When you respond to somebody angrily or in an upset manner, often 50% of the time, that will shut down that other person and cause them to not continue to question you about what particularly went on, especially if you don't have good communication in the relationship. That's not to say this happens every time, but it does happen a lot of the time. I hear from people on my narcissistic networks all the time about dialogue of this nature between themselves or between victims and their narcissists, and this is the type of dialogue that they get back, where the narcissist talks to them in some particular angry manner and they don't want to continue that conversation because they don't want to agitate that narcissist anymore, and the conversation stops and it doesn't continue, and that's the end of that. Again, what that narcissist has done is they've shut you down by controlling the narrative with you and saying to you, what, you don't trust me? What do you think I was? What do you think I was doing? I was at work all day, blah, 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 whatever it is. Why are you calling me and asking me this question? Yada, yada, yada. And that shuts down the thingy. That right away, they've controlled that situation and that conversation. This is a very subtle form of control in a conversation, but one that we see quite commonly here. And these are just some examples of the way a narcissist actually uses control texts or control responses to actually control the situation with you or to shut you down so you don't continue dialogue with them. We're probably going to do a part 3 about this whole control text thing, or just about the texting habits of the narcissist in general here. But this has been episode 210. I'm going to say to you guys, please stay tuned. I got lots of content coming up on my networks in the future here. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll catch you really soon with some other content.